this Inside Line podcast, we speak to British Superbike race winner Kyle Ryde. Fresh from his 2 victories at the recent Silverstone round, the 23-year-old from Nottinghamshire spoke to us on a variety of subjects. This included the emotions of the wins, what it's like to ride a 220 brake horsepower superbike, the importance of his team boss, Steve Hickin, his race rivals, and how he thinks his future's looking. Kyle, utterly brilliant performance at Silverstone. Well done you, mate. You must be very pleased with that, are you?
Yeah, very happy. A bit unexpected, but I think after the first 2 rounds we showed good pace, so I think it all just came together really and made it into a very good weekend.
I mean, surely when you were driving into Silverstone, you must have felt reasonably confident because, as you say, the first 2 rounds have gone fairly well for you, albeit tainted a little bit by some, little issues, shall we say?
It was out of my reach, and I couldn't do anything about them. But they're them sort of problems that are just a bit annoying, really. Didn't really upset me or anything because it's my rookie year and just still learning, really. So even though the team was good for me, because maybe I could have got a couple of podiums before Silverstone, I was more than happy that obviously I had a problem in like third or second place. And for my rookie year, I'm not too fussed. It's the same as when someone crashes. You'd rather crash at the lead than crash when you're in 17th. So I just took it on the chin, really, and I just thought at some point it'll all come together. And as you see at the weekend, nothing went wrong all weekend. And I ended up getting 3 podiums and taking 70 points away from the weekend.
I mean, were you actually surprised looking back to how it turned out?
It surprised me the results, but me feeling on the bike and me being confident on the bike, what I did without thinking about anyone else or what anyone else did or if I was faster than anyone else, just me personally, I thought I did exactly the same as what I did at Donington. Just like I said, everything worked and the bike worked really well. It was working perfect Friday afternoon, first practice. So, I don't know, everything just clicked like I said. Honestly, I can't thank the team enough because obviously they've given me the chance as well to do what I've done this year. I didn't think, obviously 2 years ago I packed in racing because I was sick of it. And then now I'm sat here obviously talking to you and other people, talking about being a double winner on a Sunday.
So tell me about that little break that you've had because you were unhappy with racing, Kyle. What led to that?
Just as a family, really, and me wasn't really enjoying racing. And when you don't enjoy it, it's honestly not a very nice feeling. It's bad enough when you're winning races, you still think about stuff like what Alex Olsen did, and it's always playing on people's mind, whatever happens. So, especially when you're not doing very well and you're not very confident, and then you can't really see it opening like I've had this year. I'd just had enough of it, and I think as a family as well, we'd all had enough of it. So I said, that's it, I'm done. But it only took about 3 months really for me to get back on a bike again because I missed it. But probably one of the best things I ever did.
I mean, you've sort of led me to ask this question, actually, which I was going to ask you a bit later. But, how much do the sort of stars need to line up to do well in BSB? I'm thinking of the team needing to be right, the bike, the way the bike's set up, your head, your heart, how many Weetabix you've had that morning. Does it all have to be right and in place? Yeah,
well, this year's different to any other year for me because obviously I've never rode a superbike properly and at the speed that I am doing now. This year is very quick, 2 weeks. We're racing every 2 weeks. And the last 2 years I've only been really doing a super sport sprint race and a long race on Sunday, and now we've got 3 races on a 220 horsepower motorbike, which is like a machine. So yeah, there's a lot of prep wise. I wouldn't say obviously you've got your own things to do and whatever, but yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just riding the bike, as people know. Some people think you just sit on it and twist your throttle and bravest one wins, but there's a lot more to go to it. And obviously the biggest one's probably confidence. And yeah, you just need right people around you. I think this year I've definitely got that. Steve's been awesome with me, so just want to carry on. Really can't wait to get to Alton and the last couple of races.
What makes you say Steve is as good as you think he is? What qualities does he have that suit you?
Not since I've grown up, but when I was 13 and I rode for Ryan Saxelby, just the way he worked with me, that brought me on as a rider, and I learnt a lot from him. And he understood how I develop feelings from the bike, or what I want changing, or what I think needs changing. He understood it really a lot, and ever since Ryan, I've never really found anyone that understands what I'm on about. But as soon as I met Steve and we worked together straight away, I understood that he was going to be willing to do anything I wanted to do, even if it was completely the wrong way. He wanted to let me do it to prove me that I was wrong. So there's a lot to work with. It's not just riding a bike, it's obviously the people you're with, and it's been amazing. So I think that's half the reason why I've been as fast as I am already. I knew I could have done what I've done now maybe in like a year or so, but I didn't expect it to be this soon. But I think that's down to Steve and confidence.
Do you think that's one of the most important, as well as your riding ability and all your qualities? Do you think that sort of match that you clearly have with Steve, is that another key reason to success?
Yeah, that's it. I think a couple of times throughout the last years, I've rode as good as what I am doing right now, but the people around you are not as good as Steve. And that it's easily like half a second because the bike's not set up how you want it, even though you think it is. But you know straight away when things are right, and this year is 100%. I can't fault anything. So I know I've had a couple of bike problems, but it's out of my hands, it's out of Steve's hands, it's out of anybody's hands. It could have happened to anyone. So I mean, the first one looks bad, but one of the Hondas just fired a stone up at the radiator, so that can happen to any bike on the grid. So
how difficult is the bike to set up? Because there's a multitude of different adjustments, isn't there, Kyle? And how much do the team help you get to the ideal bike as soon as you can?
So, I mean, I think luckily we had an official test at Silverstone, so that helped me a lot last weekend, because on Friday I had a bike that could possibly finish in the top 6 before you even gone out on track. So everything else was just little niggles, making me feel more confident and making the rear tyre last. That was it really. So capability wise for the bike, that was ready to win a race straight from Friday. So it's not easy to set up a bike. A lot of people just think, like I said, you get on it and it stays the same for the rest of the year. But got a bike that's got a very good base setting, you're almost in the top 10 24/7. Like, even if it's not very good, you're somewhere near. And then it's about making things better to get further up than 10th and to make the tyre last, etc., etc. So yeah, it's not easy, but up to yet it has been quite easy because the bike's been amazing. Thanking obviously Steve for doing that. I've had a good couple of tests at Mallory Park, and yeah, ever since then the bike's been mint. And if there's ever been a problem with the bike or a bad day, I've still been about 6th or 7th anyway. So that's the good thing about it.
I mean, I watched it on TV, and the bike looked really composed. It stayed in shape, didn't it? And it looked fast enough. Is that due to setup as much as anything else?
I've had a super swing arm in the bike. I tried it once, a couple of laps at Mallory Park, and I think Steve just really wanted to see if it's very competitive, but if we can work with it. And straight away I did my PB lap time out of nowhere, and he pulled me in straight away. He's like, yeah, that'll do. We can go to Silverstone on that. So I don't know, maybe that helped me a lot on Sunday, and it's just one of them. Silverstone's a bit of a dodgy track. It's all right-handers. Coming through Woodcut absolutely destroys the tyre. So, but yeah, the first time ever I've done a race run on Friday, FP1. I went straight out and I put 30 laps on a rear tyre. come in, and it didn't actually look too bad. So for Friday, that was a very good sign. And then come Sunday, like I said, we made a couple of changes to make the tyre life a lot better. And as you see in Sunday, the first race, I saved the tyre behind Brooks, and then I saved it for the last couple of laps. And if anything, I had so much more tyre than anyone else. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it was the swing arm, I don't know if it was Steve setting it up, but as a combined package, I think we worked well over the weekend to make the bike good to ride on Sunday.
Do you need to pace yourself to make sure the tyre lasts?
Yeah, so my fastest lap in the first race on Sunday was a 53.3, and that wasn't until lap 27 when I got to the front. So there's no way you can do 30 laps at a 53.3. But at the same time, it was very easy to do 53.8 for 30 laps. But if you're doing 53.8 for 30 laps, someone's going to pull away because they're doing a 53.3 at some point. So I got quite lucky, really, following Brooks for 20 laps because it was 53.6, 53.7. And even though it was a very good pace, I could just about hang in while saving the tyre at the same time. So at the last 3 laps, I did feel like I mugged him a little bit, but at the same time, on Saturday, I think he finished 6th or 7th, and in that race on Sunday, he finished 2nd, so I think he was quite happy anyway. So obviously the third race was a little bit different because I was at the front and I was setting the pace, so that was different. So I think I just tried to, instead of setting a very good lap time, I think I picked a pace like 53.5, and I tried to do that for 30 laps, and that worked. So, and that was actually 3 seconds quicker than the first race. So swings in roundabouts. Some people like to jet off at the front, get a 5-second gap, and then at the end they get clawed back. Or some people they're in 6th or 7th for 10 laps to go and they end up winning the race. So that's obviously the good thing about BSB. It's no traction, and the rider's got to do all the work with his right hand.
I mean, did the tyre feel pretty good from lap 25 on? Was it still driving out of corners okay, or was it starting to move about quite a bit?
So it does move around a lot more towards the end. But if you've got that drive grip still, then you can still do the lap time. Some people manage to do that for 20 laps, but then it gets really unstable. But yeah, that was the difference on Sunday. I could do the same thing on my bike for 30 laps. And it's good because I noticed the fuel load going down as well, which I've not really noticed before. Obviously, having 21 litres in a bike is 20 kilos, so it's a big weight. And the first 10 laps is very difficult to pass anyone. It's quite interesting to know as well as it's very difficult to ride the bike at the first 10 laps of the race. You've got new tyres, so you've got a lot of grip, but you can't feel the bike. But at the same time, it won't stop because you've got 20 litres of fuel on. So that's what I mean. It's very hard to set a pace when you're trying to pass people, when you're trying to keep people behind you. But when it comes to the last 15 laps, if you've got some tyre left, your bike almost turns into a little bit of a 600 because you've been used to 20 litres of a bike, and then it goes down to about 4. It's dead easy to ride. So, but it's good to notice that. Some people don't notice that. So the bike's obviously set up really good that I can actually notice that.
I mean, it strikes me as though the race seems to differ from lap to lap. There's all sorts of different changes in the bike, and as a result, it's very different to ride.
Yeah, it's at Silverstone, like I said, the tyres life's that rubbish towards the end. It's a completely different track. It's not about fitness or anything. It's about, you come in on Sunday and I didn't really get a sweat on at all, even though you're really trying. It's because you're just maintaining the tyre. Anybody could have gone out and cleared off for 6 seconds, but they had to pull in after 12 laps because there had been a big hole in the tyre. So it was a very interesting weekend. Anybody could have got pole position. Like you seen Danny Buchan got pole position, set a very fast lap time. I think it was like 53.2. But then obviously come race, he dropped back a little bit, being a bit bigger than everyone else, and he was trying hard to stay with the front lot, and he lost his tyre a few times and went back to like 10th, and it's easily done. So I think even Christian Nidden, the first race, was like 4th, and then he finished about 11th. And then he changed his bike a lot for Sunday, and I think in the last race he ended up finishing 4th, made his tyre last a lot longer. So it's good. I like it when it's like that because obviously the rider's got to do all the work.
Now, the GSX-R is not the newest bike on the grid, is it? How does it compare to the Ducati and the new Fireblade, particularly?
I had a new engine for Silverstone, and to be honest, it probably was just as fast as a Ducati. So the new Fireblade does look just as fast as the Ducati as well. But the new BM, even the OMGs as well, they're fast, very fast. But I think they've blown 4 engines already. So,
what sort of advantages do you think the Suzuki's got, if any?
I think the Suzuki suits the SC2 front, and if anything, I feel like I've got a bit of an advantage on people at the end of the race because of that, because of the front tyre, really. And even when I'm in Parc Fermé after the race, it looks brand new, and everyone else on a 1 seems to look a bit like chewing gum. Looks like it's done a lot more work. And
so, I mean, are you happy with that bike and what it offers?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't change.
Good. How much tougher is the BSB class compared to others that you've raced in? And you've raced in a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you've been 125 champ, you've been Superstock 600 champ, you've been GP2 champ, you've raced Superstock 1000, I think, haven't you? You've been in BSB before. What's a superbike like compared to some of the other stuff that you've ridden? What's the main differences?
Obviously, it's an absolute missile, like very fast. And, Silverstone, you can almost crack it within 10 laps. You know what the bike's going to do. But being at Snetterton and obviously Alton next week, the thing's going to be doing stuff that I've never experienced before. So that's the hardest part, I think, changing. But obviously at the same time, we've got 220 horsepower and no traction. So there's a lot of things that are a lot difficult. And I think the biggest one, the depth this year is very, very strong. You've seen people like Brooks have a bit of a bad day, and that's literally like the slightest bit of a bad day when he finishes 8th. So I think in the past, in GP2 or in Supersport, I had a bad day and I finished 3rd. And I think in Superbike, you can have a bad day and finish 12th. So,
I mean, everything's got to be just right then, really, hasn't it, to do well then? You've got
to be. You can run on by accident and you end up finishing 12th. So that's how close it is. So everyone's got to be on the game. I think people that don't make mistakes are at the top. So Glenn Irwin at the minute, he finished 4th every race at the weekend and actually extended his championship lead, and he's not really made a mistake yet. So and being consistent, where you get some people have won a race or suddenly just jumped, got a podium, and then the next race they crash or they finish 12th. So it's, especially being a 6-meeting championship, it's all about consistency. I think I spoke to a few people, and we either said there's going to be someone that's going to go banzai out, win everything, and all crash that like that are going to win, or there's going to be someone that keeps finishing 4th all the time and ends up winning. So we'll soon find out in 2 months or so.
You mentioned 220 horsepower. I mean, how physical and how much of a handful can it get, especially when the tyres go? I mean, is it a bit of a beast?
Yeah, when you've got new tyres and it's got grip, it's an absolute, I can't describe it, it's an animal to anyone. If anyone that says it's not, it's rubbish, because when it's got grip, you can't feel anything. So I always go well at the end of the race because I understand what my bike's doing. So I think some people struggle at the end of the race because they've got no grip. Where because I have grip at the end of the race, because my bike's set up that well, like it was at the weekend, I can still maintain a good speed and pace because I know what my bike's doing and I know what to do with it. Where in qualifying, when you have a new front and a new rear and you have to leave your brain in the box and try and set a fast lap time, you can't feel anything. And all you got to do is brake 5 meters later than what you normally do and pick the throttle 5 meters earlier than you normally do and put it on 100% throttle. And if it lets go, you are going to be 12 foot up in the air. So luckily, that's not happened to me yet, but I'm sure it will at some point.
Is it a bit scary then, qualifying, Kyle? It sounds like it.
Yeah, qualifying's very, like, you have to hit every marker, and at the same time you have to be the bravest that you've been all weekend. Obviously, you've done practice, you've done a race run, you set your bike up, and then all of a sudden you're in qualifying and you've got to leave your brain in the box for 5 minutes just to try and get yourself on the first 2 rows. So, but that's why we enjoy it, because there's so many different. There's not just going out on your bike, riding for 40 minutes, coming in, doing the same. There's practice, qualifying, races, and obviously races mean the most, but it's like completely different elements of the day. It's, you go out in practice and you're not nervous, and then you go out in qualifying and you're absolutely bricking yourself because you think, I can actually do well in the race, but before doing well in the race I need to put myself in the top 6. So then you put pressure on yourself, then you start sweating and your hands start moving and twitching your legs, and it's hard. It's, if you're 17th on Friday and you're struggling, but then you find a good setting, you're almost dead confident because you think, there's no way I'm going to be 17th. But if you're topping sessions on Friday and knowing that you can do it and knowing that you've got a good bike for Sunday, the pressure's almost qualifying. So it swings round sometimes. Like this weekend, I was bricking it in qualifying because I thought you need to get on the top 6 and then you'll have a very good race and probably get a podium. Where other situations, you have a bad Friday, bad Saturday, qualify 15th maybe, and then you make your bike mint for Sunday and think, hold on a minute, I could actually finish in top 5, and then you're not bricking it at all because you've qualified 15th, what you got to lose. So it's every week. Some people think every weekend's the same. You just get nervous for this and nervous for that. But like I just said, if you have a bad Friday and Saturday and you've got nothing to lose and you're making your bike good for Sunday, it's like going pit biking. It's like going to the shop. There's nothing. You just get on your bike and you do it. But if you're fast all weekend, the pressure's on you to deliver. Even though no one's expecting it because you're a rookie, I'm sat there thinking, I need to actually do something here. And then you start experience things you've never been through before. Sometimes you get nervous more than others, and I can't describe it to anyone, the feeling that you get throughout the weekend. It's amazing. So,
has Silverstone put more pressure on you in that people will expect more of you now then? Because you're a winner now.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But me talking to you, it's not put pressure on me at all, but probably when I get there next weekend, I'll feel it.
Now, you looked really emotional after that first win. Is that how it was? It looked it?
Yeah. When I crossed the line, I was ecstatic, screaming in my helmet, over the moon. Couldn't wait to get back and see the team, to see what their faces were like, because that was the biggest thing. I didn't think about nothing except that. Just no cheering, no nothing. Get back. Thank them all for what they've gave you. They deserve it probably more as me because they took the chance on me. But then halfway around the lap, it hit home, the stuff about quitting for a couple of months and being where I was then to where I was on Sunday. And obviously knowing everything what my family had been through for 16 years and everything they wanted since I was 6 was probably to win a race in BSB. So then it hit home and I got upset, but yeah, I think that was just normal.
It's a very big deal. Listen, I was super pleased for you. I mean, is that your best moment? Because you've had plenty of things to celebrate. You've been champion, haven't you, in the 3 classes? And I'm sure you've had some very good race wins as well in other classes. But is that the best weekend so far?
Yeah, 100%. That's the best Sunday I've ever had.
Good. Now, this is a tricky one, but any idea how the rest of the season might go now, based on the fact that, you've proved to everyone you can win? Is it possible to, you're 4th now, haven't you? But you moved up from 9th in the championship to 4th, didn't you, after Silverstone?
Yeah.
Can you make it number 1 at the end?
I mean, for the chances of me winning a race at the start of the year was very slim. So it's only going to be the same for the championship. I'm not looking at it at all. It'd be, at the minute, I'm doing better than what I thought I was anyway. So Alton Park won't be as easy. I know that, because it's a difficult track and it'll be physical, a lot more than Silverstone. And it's a lot harder track than Silverstone. And I've not rode the Superbike there at all. Where before I'd rode the bike at Silverstone before. And it's not really hard to do Silverstone. It's 50 seconds, etc. So Alton will be a lot more difficult, but I still think I can do the same job if things go right on Friday and bike's set up well. And I think if I can get 3 decent finishes there and try and maintain the position I'm in, 4th or 5th, I can't see why not. We couldn't win again at Donington or anything, because I know the bike's just going to be as good as what it was at Silverstone. And I know I'll be fast at the end of the race again, because that's what the nature of the bike's been doing. So I think my goal is, wherever I end up at the end of the year, it's already been far more than what I expected. So whatever happens from now, if I score no points, I've done a lot more than what I thought I would. So at the same time, I need my goal is to do 3 races and finish every 3 races at Alton Park as high up as I can, try my absolute nuts off. And if I'm still in that position, then whatever happens at Donington and Brands will be, because I know the bike will be good there. So I'm not thinking of racing.
You must be more confident now, though, Kyle. You know, when you line up from now on, you know that you can win races, don't you? You've done it. You know, that must have proved to yourself that, look, I can run with these guys.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. That's it's all a bit of a blur, really, because I never expected to be like passing Josh Brooks on lap 27 and pulling 2 seconds. And that's not me being big-headed or anything like that. I just did not expect for once this year, maybe even next year, that I was never going to be passing Josh Brooks and pulling 2 seconds. So, I mean, I'm not blaming me for that. That's not just me. Obviously, like I said, the Suzuki worked well. The bike was set up really well and saved the tyre well. But yeah, it's all strange at the minute, but it's good at the same time.
Yeah, man, great. Who do you think the chief rivals are? Who are the most difficult guys to beat?
I think Glenn at the minute, and it's hard to say because everyone's swapped round that much. It's a difficult one. I think anyone can win it. It only takes, I mean, Glenn's 30 points in front of second. He only has to don't finish once, and Josh Brooks win a race, and that's all back. So there's no good looking at anything, and it's not. We ain't got 2 races on a Sunday anymore. We've got 3, one on Saturday as well. So I don't know how many points is it. 225 points left for grabs. It's
still a hell of a lot to play for, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot to play for. So I think it's definitely in for. I know people can't come and watch, but my opinion, it's going to probably be the best last couple of races they ever have been in BSB.
Listen, you can watch it on telly. What are these guys like? Are you quite friendly with them in the paddock, or do you not have too much to do with them?
Not really, no. Obviously, your teammate's your teammate. You talk to them at night, wish them good luck, etc. But no one else really. I get on well with Coops, as many people know.
Well, look, thank you very much indeed for those words, actually. You gave me a good insight into what it was all about at Silverstone and riding a superbike generally. All the very best for Alton. Let's have 3 wins there, shall we?
I'll try my best.
We'll be rooting for you, man, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Well done, you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree, Kyle has got a very mature head on those young shoulders of his. The likeable lad is measured with his thoughts and very realistic about his racing. But I can't help thinking he could well be the next big thing in BSB racing. Let's wish him all the best for the next round at Alton Park. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next Inside Line podcast. See you then.